Hello everyone, welcome to the first session of the LVRC. Here we are going to start with the chapter number 19. That is a very important topic. Okay. Now, what we are going to do and how we are going to take forward this LVRC sessions on paper 3. Basically, see, the purpose of LVRC is that we will do a quick revision. These are the revision lectures. We will do the quick revision of the topics. Okay, each and every topic that will be there by practicing the questions, by discussing important topics, by discussing important content and practicing more and more questions. We'll be also solving your doubts. So if you have any doubt throughout the session, you can write in the chat box, you can ask, you can ask as many times as you can, because the purpose here is to do a quick revision and solve your doubts. Okay. Now coming to the part about chapter number 19. Chapter number 19 is a very important topic. That is a professional. It is paper 3 into 24%. So you can understand that how much important it is. Okay. So it's a very, very important topic. Now, what we will do is we will start this chapter by first of all visiting very important topic under this chapter, that is the clauses to the CA. Okay. And throughout the session, we will also understand what are the points that we need to take care while writing the answer in the exam. What are the matters that we need to look into critically, and how to read the question and answer the question. Okay. Let's begin the session then. Now, chapter number 19, that is professional ethics and the liabilities of the auditor, where we will be discussing the schedules to the first CA Act. Now, can anyone quickly tell me how many schedules are there and how many clauses are there each and every schedule to the CA Act? Anyone quickly? You can write in the chat box. Come on quickly. How many clauses are there in each schedule, each part of the CA Act? Very good, Lavanya. Quickly, fast. Okay, very good, Geeta. First schedule, 4 parts. Okay, 12, 2, 3, 2 clauses respectively. Yes, very good. So, if we talk about the CA Act, basically, okay. So, CA Act is, divided, like the schedules to the CA Act are divided in like two schedules are there. First schedule and the second schedule. Okay. The first schedule, basically, if you see, has 4 parts. Part number 1, 2, 3, 4. Part 1, which is applicable to member in practice. Part 2, which is applicable to member in service. Part 3, which is applicable to, in general. And part 4 is this other misconduct. Same way, we have a second schedule, which has part 1, 2, and 3. It does not have a specific part for the member in service. If I talk about the clauses which are there for each of the part, part 1 has 12 clauses, part 2, 2 clauses, part 3, again 3 clauses, part 4, 2 clauses. In part 1, we have 10 clauses. In part 2, we have 4 clauses, but I have written 4 plus 1. We will discuss why 4 plus 1. And in part 3, 1 clause. Okay, so these are the clauses which are there in the first schedule and second schedule. So total here 5 clause. Okay. Now we will go and we will do a quick revision of the clauses along with some important questions that we will discuss. So can anyone tell me what is the clause 1 of part 1 of first schedule? What it is about? Quickly, what it is about? Clause 1, part 1 of first schedule. Anyone? What it is about? Allows anyone to practice in his name. Very good, Geeta. Yes, absolutely correct. So the clause 1, part 1 of first schedule talks about if you allow any person to practice in his name, okay, as a charter accountant, unless such person is also a charter accountant in practice or is in partnership, okay, or employed. So he should be a CA in practice plus partnership and plus or either he should be in employment. Very important, either in partnership or employment, but very important, very critical part, which is that he should be a CA in practice. So till the time he's not a CA in practice, we cannot allow that person to practice in our name. So there are two conditions that has to be satisfied for the clause 1. Okay. Now we will understand this with an example of we will take a question, we will understand a question, okay, and then we will see how practically implementation happens for these kind of scenarios. Okay. So the question is, Messrs. Apex and Associates is a firm of chartered accountants appointed as a statutory auditor of Zenith Infrastructure Limited, a listed entity engaged in the road construction project. CA Arvind, the engagement partner, has completed the audit for the financial year 31st March 2024. However, just 2 days before the scheduled board meeting to approve the financial statement, CA Arvind had to travel to USA for an urgent medical emergency involving his son. To ensure the timeliness of the client were met, CA Arvind requested his close friend, CA Bhavesh, who is also chartered accountant in practice, holding a valid certificate of practice, but runs his own proprietary firm, Messrs. Bhavesh and Company, to attend the board meeting of Zenith Infrastructure Limited. CA Arvind authorized CA Bhavesh to sign the independent auditor report and balance sheet on behalf of the firms of Apex Associate, believing that since CA Bhavesh is qualified member in practice, this arrangement would technically be valid. CA Bhavesh signed the document as for Messrs. Apex and Associates, Chartered Accountant, and mentioned his own membership number. You are required to comment on the professional liabilities. You are required to comment on the professional liability of CA Arvind with respect to the CA Act and its schedule. Now tell me, what do you think in this particular scenario? How the clause 1 that we discussed just now would be applicable? Anyone? Come on, quickly. How the clause 1 will be applicable? Is it appropriate in this particular scenario, okay, for for CA Bhavesh to sign? Yes, no? He's a CA in practice. Very good, Lavanya. Very good, Geeta. He's a CA in practice. Very good. So, as we just now saw, that in order to apply, okay, in order to allow anyone to practice in our name, what is required to be done? Two conditions required to be satisfied. Number 1, CA in practice. Okay, so the first condition has to be CA in practice. And the second condition basically is that either he should be a partner or an employee. Now, here, CA Bhavesh is a chartered accountant in practice because he's holding a valid certificate of practice. Perfectly fine. Condition is satisfied. Not an issue. But the second condition, he has to be a partner or employee. Now, here he owns his own proprietary firm. He's neither a partner nor an employee. He was authorized to sign, but he is neither a partner or employee. He can sign in the name of his own firm, but he cannot sign in the name of any other firm. Here he has signed in the name of Messrs. Apex and Associates, not in the name of Messrs. Bhavesh and Company. By mentioning his own membership number. So he signed for Messrs. Apex and Associate and mentioned his own membership number. Second condition is not getting satisfied. As a result, in this particular scenario, what will happen is both will be held guilty of professional misconduct, specifically CA Arvind. Okay, CA Arvind will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, when we have to write the answer for this particular question, how we will write, that is also we need to understand. And that will be a very important part. Okay. So when you have to write the answer for this particular question, how will you start the answer? What is the first thing you will write? Anyone? What is the first thing you will write? Quickly. Anyone? What is the first thing that you will write in the answer? So when we will write the answer for this particular question, we will start with the provision itself. We will write the provision as per clause 1 of part 1 of first schedule. Okay. Now understand one thing, that when you write this thing, clause 1, part 1 of first schedule, okay, you cannot write like this way. Part 1, numerical 1, you cannot. Or you cannot write like this, one part. No, these are not allowed. You cannot write, you cannot change the name of the part the way it is written. Okay. I cannot write basically schedule 1 or one schedule. Even I cannot write first schedule like this. No. And why? Because the reason is this is the part of an act. That is a CA Act. So whenever we are quoting a particular provision of the act, the way you do in the Income Tax Act, the way you do in the Companies Act, you write the section. For example, you write section 143(3). Do you write like this, that section 143-3? No, you don't write like this. If it is a subsection, a clause, you write in the brackets for that particular one. You do not change the reference, or you do not write 143 section 3. Okay. So similarly, in this particular scenario, why would you change the way it is drafted in the act itself? So you have to make sure that you write clause 1, part 1 and first schedule to the CA Act 1949. Entire statement is required. Like first the clause, then the part, then the schedule, then the act. This is how you have to refer to a provision of the schedules. Okay? Any doubt? Okay. During the session, if you have any doubt at any point in time, okay, you can basically, write your doubts in the chat, or you can ask also. Okay. Now, when we have to write the answer over here, okay, we first quote the provision. We will first quote the provision, and then we will write what is there in the provision. Okay, a chartered accountant in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Remember, do not only write misconduct. Either it has to be professional, either it has to be other misconduct. Do not just write misconduct. If he allows to any person to practice in his name as a chartered accountant unless the two conditions. Okay. And then you do the analysis. Second part is the analysis of the question that CA Arvind is there, Bhavesh is a CA in practice, but he's neither a partner nor employed. And then you need to provide the conclusion. He is guilty of professional misconduct under clause 1, part 1 of the first schedule to the CA Act because the second condition is not satisfied. This is how, in a PAC format, you need to write the answer. That is provision, analysis, and conclusion. PAC format. You should write the answer. First provide the provision, then do the analysis of the case, and then give the conclusion. Clear? How to write the answer for this particular these particular questions? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Great, good. Okay. So, if no doubts, then let's proceed further. See, that was the clause 1. Okay. If you see the study material, in study material, we will also refer the study material along with this. Okay. Everyone, I would recommend everyone to take these notes because your own handwritten notes will be very helpful before a day of exam. If you have written these notes in your own handwriting, it will be easy to refer back. It will be easy to remember. It will be easy to, understand what is there. Okay. So I would recommend everyone to take these notes in your own handwriting, in your own way, along with this session. Now, coming to the part of the study material. So I would request everyone to come on the page number 19.43 of the study material. We will also take the study material for the quick reference, like we amazingly drafted study material. So we will go also see the important things from the study material and we will mark there so that a day before exam, you can easily go and do a revision. Okay. So we will come to the page number 19.43. You have a clause 1 over here mentioned. Okay. Clause 1. We will quickly highlight important part that is there, the two conditions that we were talking about. Okay. The two conditions are that he should be a CA in practice. Second condition, partnership or employed by him. Okay. First condition and second condition. So this is a very important chart. If you can say, if you see, this summarizes the entire clause in chart format. Non-chartered accountant, not allowed directly. He cannot be a partner. He cannot sign. If it's a chartered accountant in practice, partner, fine. Employee, allowed. Others, not allowed. Okay. Okay. Now, this was clause 1. We'll move to the clause 2. Clause 2. If a chartered accountant in practice, so first part 1 is all about CA in practice. Okay. If you pay or agree to pay a commission to any person. Okay. Now, when I say pay or agree to pay, it is pays, allows, agrees to pay, allows, or directly or indirectly any share. When I say commission, it means commission, brokerage, fees, or profit in his professional business. So for the summary purpose, we will only write the commission, but it includes a lot of things. To any person other than, now to any person, there is an exception to this. Means if you pay to these people, fine. Otherwise, it is not. So exception is he should be a member of institute. Again, so the first exception, member. So if you pay to member, fine. If he is a partner, now tell me one thing. If I say a partner, okay, CA as a partner, why we have to mention member again? Why I have to mention the member and partner again 2 times? I could only write partner. Anyone? Why member and partner both are mentioned? Simple. In clause 1, we saw who can be a partner. To be a partner, you have to be CA in practice. We will also see in clause 4 that who are allowed to be partner. So we will see that if a person is CA but not in practice, can he be a partner? That's why there is a distinction. It is not necessary that a member can be a partner. Member has to be in practice to be in partner. Okay. So member, partner, retired partner, legal representative of the deceased partner, that is who's no longer there. Okay, if you pay to them, the legal representative, retired partner, perfectly fine. Or specified person. Now, who is a specified person? This term is not there in the what you can say, the act or the study material. This is a summary I have created. Okay, specified person means member of any other professional body or members having such qualification or persons having such qualification. Okay, so these are the two categories which are there in the specified person. But in exam, do not write specified person. This is only for the summary. In exam, you have to write either which are the members of other professional body, okay, or persons having such qualifications. So members of other professional body, okay, or such other persons having such qualification as may be prescribed. Now, who are these members of other professional bodies and such other persons having such qualification? Basically, these are specified in the regulations 53A1, okay, and 53A3. 53A1 talks about the professional bodies. 53A3 talks about the qualifications. Okay. So, which are the professional bodies? ICSI, ICWAI, Bar Council, okay, Architects, Indian Institute of Architects, and Institute of Actuaries of India. Okay, these are the professional bodies, and members of these, if we pay, fine. Now, who are with the qualification? Qualification is governed by Regulation 53A3. So, if they are qualified and they have a qualification of company secretary, cost accountant, actuary, bachelor's in engineering, bachelor's in technology, bachelor's in architecture, bachelor's in law, MBA, fine. So these, if you pay or allow to pay, okay, to these, like 53A1, that's a member of professional body. 53A3, that is person who are qualified, perfectly fine. Otherwise, deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. You can pay to member, partner, retired partner, legal representative, specified person, that is 53A1 and 53A3. Clear? That is your clause 2. Any doubt? Any doubt till now? No? Okay. So let's take a question on this one also. Okay. And quickly go through the question so that we can understand how this particular clause will work. Let me read the question.
MS Vivan and Associates, a chartered accountancy firm, was looking to expand its client base in the banking sector. CA Vivan, the managing partner, entered into a written agreement with Mr. Raj, a retired bank manager who now works as an independent loan recovery consultant and does not hold any professional qualification from ICSI, ICMAI, or the Bar Council. As per the agreement, Mr. Raj referred MS Alpha Textiles Limited to the firm for a certification assignment required for a bank loan. Upon completion of the assignment and receipt of fees of 5 lakhs rupees from the client, CA, Vivan paid a referral commission of 10%, 50,000 rupees, to Mr. Raj. In the same financial year, the firm also paid a sum of 2 lakhs rupees to Mrs. Kavita, the widow of CA Suresh, a former partner of the firm who passed away 3 years ago. This payment was made as a share of the firm's profits in accordance with the goodwill clause in the partnership deed. Required. Comment on the professional liability of CA Vivan with reference to the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949 and its schedules.
Okay, now tell me what will be, the professional liability of CA Vivan in this particular scenario. Take a minute, read the question again, and then try to answer. Take a minute, read the question again, and try to answer. Okay, now tell me, what do you think in this scenario? What will be the professional liability of CA Vivan? Quickly. What do you think will be the professional liability over here? Anyone? Okay. Guilty. Very good, Ayush. Very good. That guilty for Mr. Raj's commission. Yes, absolutely correct. Mr. Raj is not a member. Very good. Yes. So in this scenario, if you see, Mr. Raj, he's a retired bank manager. Now works as a loan recovery consultant and does not hold any qualification. So the person to whom we can share is that either he has to be a member, either he has to be a partner, retired partner, legal representative of the deceased partner, member of any other professional body, or person having such other qualifications. So in case of Mr. Raj, he is neither having any other qualification, neither a member, neither a partner, neither is a CA. So, or neither a representative or retired partner. So in this particular case, paying him will violate the clause 2. Will violate the clause 2. Okay. So 10% amount was paid as a referral commission is a problem in this particular scenario. Now, second part about the 2 lakh rupees paid to Mrs. Kavita. What do you think? 2 lakh rupees paid to Mrs. Kavita. Anyone? Yes, that can be paid because it's a legal representative of the D's partner, and there is one more important condition. Okay, in that scenario, see, when there is a partnership firm and if a amount is paid to the legal representative of the D's partner, in that case, there is one more condition that is required to be taken care. In this particular scenario, the condition is that it has to be specified in your partnership deed. So this is as in accordance with the goodwill clause in the partnership deed. If it is as per the partnership deed, okay, legal representative, then it is fine. Okay, if we have to pay to a legal representative as per the partnership deed, then it is fine. Yes, Ayush, you can write. You can assume, like in the given scenario, we have to assume that she is a legal representative of the DC partner. Okay, based on the given scenario, we have to assume that she is a legal representative, and accordingly, we need to write the answer. Okay, so for Mr. Raj, clear that no, he cannot receive the amount. Okay, for Miss Kavita, perfectly fine. Mrs. Kavita, perfectly fine. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. So, if no doubts, quickly we will also see the answers. Answer will be on the similar line. Okay, that how you need to write the answer. What was the way that we discussed about writing the answer quickly? What was the thing about the answer? How to write the answer? PAC model, correct. PAC format. So we will go to the answer quickly. That first you have to mention the provision, the clause part and the schedule to the CA Act, specify what is the provision. Then you do need to do the analysis like payment to Mr. Raj, payment to Ms. Kavita, Mrs. Kavita, and then you need to give the conclusion. Guilty, not guilty. Clear? So this is how you need to write the answer for this particular question. Okay. Now, can anyone tell me what is the clause 3? Quickly, clause 3, part 1, first schedule. Clause 3, part 1, first schedule.
Accepts or agrees to accept any payment from a person other than member of the institute or the persons mentioned by other professional bodies.
Very good. Yes. So if you accept or agree to accept any commission from anyone, okay, then you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. And the exception to this scenario are member of institute, like professionals of such, members of such professional body and person having such qualification. Now, again, that's why I use the term specified person, because it is the same which we discussed in the clause 2. So clause 3, specified person, is same as the clause 2, regulation 53A1 and regulation 53A3. Like members of professional body, we saw. Qualifications, we saw. Clear? Now, we will go to the study material and quickly see the clause over there, because I want to highlight one important part. Page number 19.47. Okay, this is your clause 3. Now, here, the important thing that we need to note is what is written, that not a member of institute. So if you share to the member of institute, it is fine. Okay. Some students understand that this is equal to CA in practice. So if we share to any member who is not CA in practice, it is not allowed. But that is not the case. That is not the case. That means he can be in practice, he cannot be in practice. If he is a member of institute, fine. So this will include both in practice and otherwise. In practice and otherwise also. Okay. So remember this, that this will include both. Some students mistakenly, they understand that no, it has to be in CA in practice only. No, there's a difference in that. Okay. Now again, agree to accept any part of the professional work, okay, from a person who is not a member of institute or member of such professional bodies, person having such qualification as specified in item 2, fine, he will be guilty of professional misconduct. Clear? Any doubt? Pretty easy. Clause 3, nothing difficult in this. The way we understood clause 2, similarly clause 3. Any doubt? Okay. Clause 4. Can anyone tell me what is clause 4 about? What is clause 4 about? Quickly.
Enters into partnership with any person who is not a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice, or with
Okay.
the persons of other professional bodies.
Okay. Very good. Yes. See, now clause 4 basically talks about the partnership with whom we are allowed, with whom we are not allowed. Okay. Where we can go for, like, with whom we can do a partnership, with whom we cannot do a partnership. Very important clause. So entering into a partnership, if we enter into a partnership with the specified persons or with whom it is allowed, fine. Otherwise, guilty of professional misconduct. Now, who are allowed, basically the exception that we call, with whom it is allowed? CA in practice, specified person, and here the specified person is either person, members of professional body having such qualification, okay, or whose qualification is recognized by the central government. There is something different. Okay, we are looking here for the first time. Member of professional bodies having such qualification. Till now, we were only talking about member of professional bodies. Okay, let's go to the study material and quickly go to the clause 4. So, partnership in or outside India with any person other than, other than CA in practice. Now, very important part. Member of any other professional body having such qualifications. If you see the clause 2, the wordings of the clause 2 was that member of any other professional body. It was only till this, member of any other professional bodies. It was separate. This part, that having such other qualifications, is different. So in clause 2, that where we were talking about 53A1, that is member of any other professional bodies. And if you see the wording over here, it is different. Here we are talking about member of professional bodies having such qualification. So member plus qualification now into one part. And in second part, whose qualifications are recognized by the central government. Okay. So who are the members of professional bodies having such qualification? Basically, and you have a whose qualifications are recognized by the central government. So qualifications, we have already seen 53A3 qualification part in item in clause 2. Perfectly fine. That will be the same. But now we will talk about new term, that is members of professional bodies having such qualification. Okay. So here it is. Company secretary, he should be member of ICAI. So qualification member body, qualification member body, cost accountant, qualification member body, qualification member body, engineer, advocate, architect, actuaries. You will feel it is same as 53A3, but here they have to satisfy Two conditions: qualification, membership, both. Okay. So if he enters into a partnership with any other person other than the CA in practice, member qualification of professional body, member plus qualification of professional body, or whose qualifications are recognized. Okay, these are the exceptions. Otherwise, deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Second important point that I want to discuss over here is that here we are not talking about member. We are talking about chartered accountant in practice. And when I say member of any other professional body, over there you don't have a CA in CA. Okay, so chartered accountant is not covered over here. That means other than chartered accountant in practice, even though he's a member, but he is not a practice, not allowed. Partnership with member, not in practice, not allowed. He has to be in practice. Clear with this? That is your clause 4. So he has to be in practice. You cannot say that if he's member, it is fine. No, a lot of students do a mistake over here. Understanding, no, if he's a member, it is fine then. But it is not the scenario. Okay. Now, let's understand this particular scenario with a question. Okay. Okay, let me read the question.
CA. Pradeep is a chartered accountant in practice and the founder of MS Pradeep and Associates. He specializes in management consultancy services and wishes to expand his practice into the domain of startup funding and strategy. To leverage specialized expertise, CA. Pradeep decides to form a partnership with Mr. Rohan, who holds a Master of Business Administration (MBA) degree in finance from a prestigious university. Mr. Rohan has 10 years of experience in investment banking but is not a member of any statutory professional body established in India. They executed a partnership deed on 1st April 2024 to form a new firm, MSP and are strategy consultants, with an agreed profit-sharing ratio of 60-40. The firm immediately commenced its operations and accepted assignments from various clients. Required. Comment on the professional liability of CA. Pradeep with reference to the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949, and the regulations framed thereunder.
Okay, take a minute, read the question again, and then try to answer. Okay. So understand from the point of view that the things which are given, that the areas we have discussed till now. Just one clarification I would like to add in this question is that the university that we are talking about is not recognized by the law or AICTE. Just understand that. It's not established by law or recognized by AICTE. So it's not there. Okay. So that's one clarification I just added, that not established by law or recognized by AICTE. Quickly. Very good, Ayush. Absolutely correct. Quickly, what is the answer in this particular scenario? Anyone? What is the answer in this particular scenario? Very good, Sachi. Very good, Geeta. Okay, very good, Lavanya. Absolutely correct. See, in this particular scenario, okay, here, why guilty? And in which clause he's a guilty, you have to write in the exam. The guy is saying he's a guilty, perfectly fine. But which clause we are referring over here, that is very important. Anyone? Under which clause he will be guilty? That is very important because that is the point you start your answer with. So which clause you are referring over here? What is the clause that you mentioned? Okay, Geeta. Okay. Yes, Sachi. Very good. Very good, Lavanya. So you guys have specified clause 4, regulation 53A, okay, or 53B. But the actual answer is not only clause 4. Understand one thing. Here, it is not only the clause 4 that will get triggered. Here, the clause 2 and clause 4 will be triggered because there's a profit sharing ratio of 60-40. Means he is going to share the fees also. Okay. The fee sharing is also going to happen in this particular scenario. If CA Pradeep decides to pay, okay, in that case, clause 2 will also get attracted. And partnership, that's why clause 4. Plus regulation 53A3. Reason because we are talking about the qualification over here. Okay. Now, in qualification, if you see, we will go to the study material quickly to discuss the qualification part. Okay. What was the scenario in qualification? That it was MBA from university which was either established by law or recognized by AICTE. Now, this is not there. That means he is not falling under regulation 53A3. He is not falling under regulation 53B. He is not falling under regulation 53A1. So if there is any profit sharing or partnership, clause 4 will get attracted. If he pays any fees like 60-40 ratio, clause 2 will get attracted. Okay. So in this particular scenario, both of the clause will get attracted. You can write in that way. Clear? So while writing the answers, either specify both clauses, like based on the given scenario, you can write clause 4, clause 2, both, and based on that, regulation 53A3, and you can write the conclusion. Clear? Any doubt? It is in the regulation 53A3, Pachi. It's there. Okay. Any doubt till now? Clear clause 4? Now quickly tell me what is clause 5. Quickly tell me clause 5. Come on. Very important. Clause 5. Anyone?
Solicits clients or professional work by way of advertisement or interviews or personal communications or through circulars.
Yes. Very good. Very good. So it's about soliciting the client or securing the professional work. Okay. So how we are securing the professional work or how we are soliciting the clients. Okay. But more on the securing the professional work, because now the clause 5, clause 6 and clause 7 are somewhat, you will feel, on the similar line. Okay. Clause 5 talks about basically securing the professional work. Okay. When we secure the professional work through means which are not open to a charter accountant. Clause 6 talks about soliciting the clients or professional work by advertisement, circulars, or by any other means which is not appropriate. And when I talk about clause 7 talks about advertisement of professional attainments or using any designations or expressions other than the charter accountant. Exceptions are there. But if you advertise your professional attainment for services, at the end you do advertisement for the soliciting the work or professional client or your professional attainments or services, you advertise. Okay. In that case, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. In clause 5, 6 or 7, they all are on the using the means which are not open to a charter accountant. Okay, which are not open to a charter accountant. Let's understand this by way of a question and then we will go to the clause. Let's do a question quickly on this particular clause and then we will jump to that particular clause from the study material to understand further. Let me read this one.
CA. Sundar, a practicing chartered accountant and partner of MS Sundar and Associates, wanted to expand the firm's portfolio in the domain of GST litigation. He observed that many local traders in the wholesale market were facing difficulties with GST notices but were unaware of professional services available to assist them. To bridge this gap, CA. Sundar entered into a verbal arrangement with Mr. Lalit, a local tax practitioner and insurance agent who is well connected in the wholesale market but is not an employee or partner of the firm. As per the arrangement, Mr. Lalit would approach traders, explain the expertise of MS Sundar and Associates in handling GST litigations, and convince them to appoint the firm as their authorized representative. In return for every client successfully introduced, Mr. Lalit would receive a referral bonus of 10,000 rupees. Through this arrangement, Mr. Lalit secured 15 new clients for the firm during the financial year 2023-24. Required. Comment on the professional liability of CA. Sundar with reference to the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949, and its schedules.
Okay. Take a minute, read the question and tell me what is not appropriate in this scenario. And pretty simple. Pretty simple. Guilty under clause 2 and clause 5. Very good, Lavanya. Okay. Anyone? Guilty under clause 5. Okay. Perfectly fine. Now, straightforward, perfectly fine. You have said guilty under clause 5. Okay. But let me change one thing. Okay, let me change one thing, that in this particular question, I'm adding something. Okay. Now, I have added that he's a member of a particular institute. Okay. He's member of an institute. Now tell me, would your answer be different? Now tell me, will you have a different answer now? Quickly. Would you have a different answer now? I added the word he's a member of an institute, ICAI. Now tell me, would you have a different answer now? Okay, Lavanya, very good. Okay, which all clauses will get attracted in this scenario? Let's say I add that, okay, in this particular scenario, we talked about like 15 new clients for the firm during the financial year. And he, or you can say, and CA Sundar paid rupees, let's say 1,50,000 to Mr. Lalit. Now tell me, which all clauses will get attracted? 2 and 5. Okay. Are you sure with the clause number 2, Lavanya? Or anyone who is saying clause number 2? Are you sure? He is a member. He is a member. Okay, let's go to the clause 5. First, read the clause 5. Now that here it will become very important. Okay. So when I talk about clause 5, basically what clause 5 says that if you secure the professional work, or if you secure through the services of person who is not an employee, not a chartered accountant, not a partner, or by means which is not open to a CA, okay, any professional business, then he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. But if any item is permitted by clause 2, 3, and 4, like payment to the people who are allowed in clause 2, receiving the amount in clause 3, partnership with the people in clause 4, those things are also permitted in clause 5. Means if anything is permitted under clause 2, 3, 4, it is also permitted under clause 5. Now we'll go back to the question again. We read the question, we read the clause 5. We'll go back to the question again. Now, do you think he's guilty under clause allowed by clause 2? 5 also allows it. By 2, it will be allowed by 5 also. Quickly.
Sir, in respect of securing professional work, Mr. Lalit is not an employer partner, so he is held guilty under clause 5. But payment of 1,50,000 it is allowed as it is allowed in clause 2. So he is not guilty under clause 2.
So clause 5 says that if something is permitted under clause 2, the arrangement, whichever arrangement is permitted under clause 2, 3, 4, it is also permitted under 5. So if you say not guilty under clause 2, he will also be not guilty under clause 5, because that by that particular proviso, it is allowed. Anyone with having a similar answer or different answer? Very good, Sachi. Anyone having different answer than this one, where you say still not allowed under clause 2 and clause 5 both? Here is the important point that we forget to look into. See, that's why I added few things in this particular scenario to make you understand that we need to pay focus on each and every word. He is the member, but of which boss too? You have to go and check whether this body is covered under clause 2. It is not covered. Clause 2 specifies regulation 53A1. The bodies which are covered under clause 2. This is not there under regulation 53A1. It's not there. Okay, this body is not covered in this. If it is not covered, how it is allowed by clause 2? Are you getting the point? It is not a 3A1. Hence, also not allowed under clause 5. So, this is a violation of not clause 2 and clause 5 both will get attracted. So, you have to pay attention to the details which are given in the question. It may appear a simple question. He is a member of a professional body. Amount is being paid. Allowed by 2, allowed by 5, matter over. But you have to think whether this professional body is listed in the regulation itself. While writing the answer, you are now not only required to refer to clause 2 and 5, but you are also required to refer to regulation 53A1. Clear? Any doubt with respect to clause 5? Any doubt? Any doubt till now on clause 5? No? No doubt? Okay. So let's quickly go to the notes basically and quickly go through the clause 5, 6 and 7 because I want to cover 2 more clauses. Answer only covers one clause because I added the few details further which was not there earlier. So basically the answer will only cover clause 5, but as I added the detail to make it complex and make you guys more understanding, you have to cover in your answer clause 2 and regulation. Okay. Clause 5. If you secure professional work through means or through anyone which is not allowed, okay, who are allowed, either you have to be an employee permissible by 2, 3, and 4. Then only you can secure professional work through that person. And when I talk about means which are not open to a chartered accountant, that means what is open to a chartered accountant? It is not accountant is briefly discussed, or it's discussed in clause 6 and 7, but there are guidelines which says what is open to a chartered accountant when it comes to the means to secure the professional work. Okay, so clause 6 basically talks about soliciting client through advertisement. That means if you solicit the client through advertisement, it is not allowed. Again, you can say that if you solicit professional work through advertisement, it is the means not open for a CA. That's why I say clause 5, clause 6, and clause 7 are somewhat connected. So if I do an advertisement, okay, I solicit the client and professional work, you can apply clause 5 and clause 6 both, because you are securing professional work through means which is not open to a CA. You are soliciting a client through advertisement. Okay. So in that particular case, 6 and 5 will be applicable. Now, what is allowed under clause 6? That is the advertisement. Generally, if you do any advertisement, it is not allowed. If you are trying to solicit the client, it is not allowed. But there are guidelines for the advertisement. If you do advertisement within those guidelines, that is fine. Plus, there are two things which are allowed specifically in clause 6 with respect to soliciting the client or applying for professional work. We will not say soliciting the client, but we will say application for the professional work, applying for the professional work. That is, either you apply to a CA in practice, that is perfectly fine. Just a minute. Either you apply to another CA in practice, or either you apply through a tender. If you apply for the professional work, okay, through CA in practice, fine. If you apply through a tender, fine. Both are fine. Clear? Now, there are conditions with respect to the tender that we need to understand. There are conditions to the tender. Can anyone tell me what are those conditions? In which scenario you can apply for a tender? Which are the conditions for the tender, okay, that through which you can allow or we can apply for a tender? Quickly. Very good, Lavanya. Anyone? What are those conditions? Quickly. So the conditions we will see now. Under clause 6, if you solicit a client or a professional work directly, indirectly, by circular, advertisement, professional communication, or interview by or any by other means, deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. But you can apply or request professional work from another chartered accountant, or you can apply to the tender or inquiries which are issued by various users of professional services or organizations. Okay. Now, when I say, like, when when I can apply for a tender, there are two conditions attached to that. Usually, you should not apply to a tender. Okay. Usually, you should not apply to a tender. Okay, which is on the exclusively reserved for the charter accountant, such as audit or attestation services. If there is a tender issued by an organization, okay, for services which are exclusively reserved for the charter accountants, you should not apply. You shall not respond to that tender. However, if it is not for such areas, means it is not reserved for the only charter accountant. It is reserved for the other professional. It is open for the other professionals. Okay. If it is open for other professionals along with charter accountants, or the minimum fee is prescribed, then fine. So if it is for the attestation or audit service, minimum fee prescribed, fine. See, attestation and audit service plus open for other professionals cannot happen, because we have the authority to audit or attest you to provide the attestation service. However, if it is not exclusively reserved for charter accountants, it is open for other professionals, then you can apply. Two conditions: either it should be open to all professionals, or if it is not open to all professionals, it should be prescribing the minimum fee. It should prescribe the minimum fee for the assignment. These are the two conditions that you need to keep in mind, under which you can apply. Otherwise, you shall not apply or
Harshad, if we can explain with the help of questions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. He will be joining shortly, dear students. And as you are aware that today we have come out with our final paper 3 LVRC. And this is the high time when you need to prepare, right? You need to thoroughly study, because you might have observed the paper pattern. You are having all the questions papers uploaded on website, suggested answers, right? So what I suggest you that today we are having our session on professional ethics, right? And next is also on professional ethics. So during these two classes, if you can complete the same so that you can ask your doubts on Wednesday, definitely you can ask later on also. But if you are preparing your note thoroughly and along with the session, it will be great. And please try to understand that when we are writing in the examination, we need to write clause number, schedule number, and CA as per Chartered Accountant Act also, right? And also you need to identify whether it is professional misconduct or other misconduct. So we need to write with proper wordings in the examination. And do remember that for professional ethics, or for that matter, if any of the question is case scenario based, we need to write conclusion also for the same. So the pattern of the answer will be, you can write either provision and explanation, then this fact of the case, and conclusion. One second. Yeah, received a call from Harshad sir only due to some technical glitch. He is out and he is joining shortly. So, dear students, as I was telling you, you need to practice the questions, right? So, once you are through with the clause number, you need to do like you need to write one of the question, and then you see that whether you are able to assess, analyze, and understand the situation, and which of the clause will be required for that question, particular question, which clause you need to write, right? Now, one question will be in your mind that whether we need to write word by word same. So that is not the requirement, dear students. You can write in your own words, you can write in your own language. We are not saying that you have to do rote learning, but definitely you need to write the clause number. So you need to develop the habit as we practice remembering our address or mobile number or name of the person. It is very important. So please do practice of remembering the clause number along with the text. Like for clause 6, we have solicitation. So you need to interlink. Yes, for clause 6, we need to write the solicitation. Okay. So you need to develop this, you need to inculcate this habit that in the examination, you are able to write the complete answer. Definitely, because it matters. In the court also, you may see that if the advocate is giving reference of decided case law or any sections, acts, regulation, it really matters. So at the final level, we also expect that students are having expert knowledge. Okay. So don't worry if you have written wrong, but definitely you should try to develop the habit. Now, how we should study professional ethics and liabilities of auditor, because lot many clauses are there. So my suggestion to all of you is, if you can segregate the whole chapter into 4 parts or 5 parts. Like for first day, you have done till KYC norms, okay? Management consultancy and CA Act important sections. Next day, you have to complete some 5 clause. You can segregate the whole number of clauses, okay? 5 clauses or 7 clauses in each day. And next day, you need to revise the same. And after completing 5 or 7 clauses, you should definitely have written practice. You need to write at least 2 to 3 questions. So the practice before your examination will be beforehand, and in the main examination, you will be able to write the required and relevant answer, because you will be able to analyze what kind of mistake committing when we are writing the answer. Because sometimes it happens that in our mind, we think that we are aware of the thing, we are aware of the clause, we are aware of the concept, and whatever we have written is correct. And when we see our marks in the examination, we wonder that why marks are so less or lower, right? So that analysis should be done beforehand, right? So that is the reason I'm saying, if you have done 7 clauses today, you need to write at least 2 questions and analyze whether we are able to understand the requirement, whether 2 clauses were there or some section needs to be referred in the answer. If you have done written practice, you will be able to analyze that, yes, we are going in the right direction, or we need to add on something else. Sometimes it may also happen that your interpretation, when you are reading the question, you are understanding it in different manner. However, the question's fact is taking you to another clause. So this writing practice is very important. Also, sometimes I have observed that students are confused in clause 6 and clause 7. My suggestion for that is, because based on my experience and interaction with the student, I can understand that this kind of difficulties are faced by the student, and that is like confusion in clause 6 and clause. So for that, you need to read the clause carefully, because lot of difference is there in clause 6 and clause 7. One is about solicitation, right? And another is for advertisement. So please read the clause and different decisions which are taken by council given under the clause, you need to read once. I am telling you, you will not find any difficulty and there will not be any confusion in the clause 6 and 7. So please read the clause carefully and segregate your whole chapter in multiple parts. Like you can give 5 to 7 days to professional ethics. Now, what will happen when today you have done 5 to 7 clauses and next day you have revised? and you have done next 10 or 7 clauses, and next day again you are revising those 14 clauses. Your multiple revision will be there, and in the examination you will not find difficulty that you are not able to recall, and you will be able to write the required clause number, relevant clause number, because you have already done beforehand practice, right? Because in the examination you are able to what kind of mistakes you are committing generally, it will happen where you are doing writing practice now, and you can improvise further. And definitely when you have written the answer, because I interacted with one of the student and I suggested him, please do writing practice, and he got failed, and he again called and interacted. He said ki ma'am, I have done written practice but I could not get good marks. Then I asked him, when you analyze your answer, what kind of errors, what kind of mistakes you observed? At that point of time he said, I have done only written practice, I have not reviewed what I have written, I have not analyzed, and I have not rewritten any of the question. So my dear students, please do remember that when you are writing the answer, when you're writing for the answer, how many minutes you have taken for particular answer, because any of the question will be either 5 marks or 4 marks, because pattern of the question paper is you have 30 marks MCQ, right? Case scenario based MCQ or independent MCQ, and for 70 marks we are having descriptive question, and there also we get one choice, okay, and one internal choice. So technically if we see, 88 marks descriptive paper is there, right? So we are having 118 marks question paper. So please see that for descriptive, we are having either 5 marks question or 4 marks question. Okay. So for that 5 marks or 4 marks, you need to see that how much time you can allot. It should not be that this is my favorite clause and the question is asked on this clause, I need to write more. You need to emphasize that how many minutes you have allotted to that particular question, how much time you are taking, whether you have followed the steps, you have written fact of the case, you have written clause number, and you have interlinked both provision and explanation with the fact of the case, and you have concluded the same, right? So this practice you need to inculcate, and thereafter, when you have written, you need to analyze how many minutes you have given to that. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because technically we are having 180 minutes. So if we deduct 15 minutes from that, and you need to use the reading time also wisely, okay? So how many minutes are there and how many questions we need to do? For 5 questions, if 3 subparts are there, technically we have to write 15 questions. So how many minutes we can give? And for 30 marks MCQ also we need to practice, so that we need to analyze that how many minutes it is taking, 40 minutes, 45 minutes or 35 minutes, right? So out of 180, we need to take at least 10 to 15 minutes for revision and 40 to 45 minutes for MCQ part. So we are left with 120 minutes or maybe 130 minutes. So how we will divide those 120 or 130 minutes in the 15 questions? Maybe sometimes we are not knowing answer of 1 or 2 questions. Okay, but that doesn't matter, because if out of 118 marks paper, if we are able 70 marks paper or 80 marks paper, you will be getting good marks. Nobody can stop like, okay? So, but for that you need to have continuous practice. Regularly you need to study, and then only you will be able to understand the requirement of the question, and you will be able to write required and relevant answer. So you need to have more and more practice. Okay. Hope it is clear to all of you students. Then one more important thing is, we need to also learn the chapter number for the council guidelines. We should be knowing that which chapter number is talking about which council guideline. Okay. So that during answering the question, when you are answering, while answering the question, you need to give reference of that council guideline particular chapter number also. Okay. And with regards to standards on auditing, if we talk for standards on auditing, you might have observed that one question is generally from SAE, SRE, SRS and SA 800 series. nowadays 2 to 3 questions are being asked from these topics. Of course, there is no MCQ. MCQ will not be asked from these topics, but descriptive questions are being asked. So please emphasize specifically for those topics also. Okay. And for each and every standard also, if you can give, because see, we are in February month and we are having our exam in May. Okay. So February, March, we need to prepare thoroughly. Multiple revisions we are doing simultaneously in April. Of course, we need to have a mock test paper, analysis of mock test paper, how we are planning our 3 hours, 15 minutes duration, right? How, whether we are able to write the required answer, that work should be there in April month. Okay. So my suggestion to all of you, please do practice and every day at least one standard. Don't try to do in 4 days we will complete the auditing, or 5 days or 7 days, and then after we will take it 2 months after 15 days or 1 month. Because if you are developing this habit that in 7 days we have completed audit and after 15 days or 1 month we are again touching the auditing subject, our memory will not be able to, like we will not be able to recall the provisions, we will not be able to recall the standards, right? So it will definitely impact. So my dear students, you need to have more practice, and I think Harshad sir has already joined. Harshad sir?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So Harshad sir is there. So not taking much of the time, over to you, Harshad sir.
Yes, ma'am.
If students
So,
have any doubt, they can definitely ask, right? Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry for the technical glitch. Okay, guys. As ma'am already provided the very important information, okay, how you need to prepare and what are the important things. So always focus on these things. It's very, very important. Okay. Now, let's proceed to the discussion that we were doing on the clause 6. Okay. So what we were discussing with respect to the clause 6, we were discussing on the tender, like how to apply for the tender. Okay. So when you are applying for the tender, you have to make sure these two things. These are very, very important. That one, minimum fee. Second, these should be areas open to a charter accountant. Okay. Open to other professionals along with the charter accountant. Then only you should apply. Otherwise, you should not apply for these tenders. Okay. So applying for the work from a charter.
Harshad, are you there? Harshad?
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
these
yeah.
are, yeah. So these are the two conditions that you need to look into. Now that was a clause 6 that we were talking about. Now coming to the next part is a clause 7. As I say, 5, 6, and the 7 are the connected ones. That means, it's on the similar line. So when I talk about clause 7, what clause 7 talks about? Clause 7 talks about advertisement of professional attainments and designations other than CA. Okay. Designations using other than CA. If you do that, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, what are the advertisement that we are talking about? Okay, there are multiple things that we are talking about with respect to the advertisement. Can anyone tell me with respect to the advertisement? Can anyone tell me? Like what advertisement we are talking about over here? Anyone? Which advertisement we are talking about? Okay, so when we talk about advertisement, or when we talk about, there are multiple things involved. For example, can you basically, hello, can you basically, do advertisement with respect to, your press release? For example, you are giving in your newspaper that you have completed, or your firm has completed 50 years, 25 years. your firm is providing that, okay, like it has completed, achieved all these clients and everything. Can you do that? Yes, no? Can you mention that you have successfully catered to these clients, you have successfully catered to these clients, you are like have this many client bases? Yes, no? Can you do that? Absolutely. Now, the crux of clause 7, clause 6 basically lies in that you cannot do advertisement for professional attendance. That you cannot show that, or you cannot do advertisement with respect to, okay, that your firm is best, your firm is doing all these things, okay, which is kind of an attainment. That means your firm is exceptional. Your practice, you are exceptional as a CA. No, you cannot do a comparison or advertisement through, comparison through advertisement. Best CA firm. That is not allowed. That's the main part with respect to the advertisement. And using designations other than charter accountant. So can anyone tell me what designations I'm talking about? What type of designations I'm, looking over here? Anyone? What type of designations we are talking about over here? Yes, Sachi, very good. So when I say designation, designation means we use the designation of a charter accountant after the name. I'm not talking about the prefix CA. I'm talking about, as of now, the designation that is after the name, that is charter accountant. Now, which designations are basically not allowed? Any other than the charter accountant. If you are saying yourself a charter accountant, you cannot say that you are an income tax consultant. You cannot say that you are a company secretary. That means I cannot write my name, okay, in a way that it is like charter accountant, company secretary, charter accountant, lawyer. I cannot do that. This is not something, appropriate or allowed to do. So designation is that particular, term that you use after your name to define what you do. Let's say charter accountant. You are a charter accountant, your qualification or designation. CA, the before name, it's a prefix. Okay, it's different. But designation, like charter accountant is a designation. You should not use any other designation along with charter accountant. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Yes, no? So we were on clause 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. These are the three clauses that we discussed. Any doubt on these clauses? Okay. If no doubt, okay, let's take a question on these clauses. Very important. Okay. We'll take question on clause 5, 6, or 7 to understand how actually basically these clause works. Like in practical, how these clause basically are applied in practice, or how cases are there for these particular clauses. Okay, just a minute. Let me share my screen. Just a minute. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So here is a question. CA Krish, a partner at K and Associates, a firm of chartered accountants, has recently focusing on expanding the firm's practice. He attended a startup incubation event as a guest speaker and an event widely publicized on the social media. Okay, very public event kind of thing. The event promotional flyer circulated online with CA Krish consent, featured his photograph. That flyer, which was published with his consent, that featured his photograph, described him as an expert in startup valuation and funding. During this presentation on financial prudence for new ventures, CA Krish made the following statement. Many new businesses fail due to poor financial advice. Our firm, K and Associate, has 100% success rate in securing Series A funding for our clients, a feat unmatched by other firms in the city. We don't just advise, we guarantee results. Now, after his speech, he distributed a pamphlet that detailed his firm's service offering, listed the names of several prominent startups the firm had successfully assisted, and announced a 25% discount on incorporation services for the first 10 businesses to sign up post-event, his services. In the light of the above facts, comment on the action of CA Krish with reference to the provision of Chartered Accountants Act and schedule there. So, this is the whole scenario. I would suggest read once and let me know what do you think about this particular scenario. Quickly. So, read this scenario and let me know what do you think about this particular scenario. Is he guilty? Yes, no? He is guilty. Okay, very good, Geeta. Why guilty? What he has done which is not allowed. Can anyone tell me what he has done over here? Why do you say he is guilty? What is the basis of being guilty in this particular scenario? Anyone? He is soliciting the client. Yes. Guilty, securing professional through advertisement and advertising his professional attainments. See, two things very important we need to understand. Number one, in this particular scenario, if you see that what he's saying is he has distributed a pamphlet, first of all. So there is a distribution of pamphlet, okay, about his firm's offering, several prominent startup that he has basically, successfully assisted, announced a 25% discount on incorporation services. So he has done pamphlet advertisement. Pamphlet advertisement. Over here, he gave a speech, okay, where he was trying to advertise his professional attainments, 100% success rate in securing Series A funding of our clients, unmatched by other firms in the city. This is nothing but advertising your professional attainments. That's why clause 7 and the clause 6 both will get attracted in this particular scenario. Both will be there. Clause 6, clause 7, both. Okay. So when we will write the answer, basically, we have to specify both the clauses. We will specify provisions of clause 6, part 1 first schedule, provisions of clause 7, part 1 first schedule. Okay. We will do an analysis of the scenario, like using the designation, claims, of superiority, all those things which are there. Okay, distribution of pamphlets, whatever is there in the particular scenario. And on the basis of that, we will say that clause 6 and 7 guilty of professional misconduct. By concluding that. Clear? So very good example on clause 6 and clause 7 together. Any doubt till now with respect to clause 6 and clause 7? Any doubt? No? Let's take one more question. Very good question on whatever we have discussed till now. Okay, it's on the similar lines of the things that we have discussed till now. Okay. So the question is, CA Ambitious, who recently set up his practice as an Ambitious and Associates, was finding it challenging to secure statutory audit assignments. He was introduced to Mr. Bisling, a prominent management consultant, who was not a member of ICAI but had extensive connections in the corporate world. They entered into an oral agreement whereby Mr. Bisling would prefer potential clients seeking statutory audit service to CA Ambitious. In return for every successful referral that resulted in an appointment, CA Ambitious agreed to pay Mr. Bisling 10% for the first year audit fee as a business development fee. Now, following this arrangement, Mr. Bisling referred a growing company, NextGen Private Limited, to CA Ambitious. The firm was subsequently appointed as a statutory auditor with a fee of 8 lakh rupees. 80,000 was paid to Bisling through a check and recorded expenses of marketing and referral expenses. You need to analyze the arrangement between CA Ambitious and Bisling and conclude whether CA Ambitious is liable for any professional misconduct under Chartered Accountants Act. So take a minute, read the question again, and then tell me, what do you think? Anyone? Very good, Lavanya. Yes. Anyone else? Okay. So basically, in this scenario, if you see, there is a person with whom the CA in practice is sharing some fees. Okay. So there is a fee share which is happening in this particular scenario. And Mr. Bisling, who is he? He's a management consultant. So he's not a member. He's not a person recognized under Regulation 53A 1, 53A 3, neither 53B. So he is not a person who is recognized under 53A1, member of professional bodies, 53A3, person having such qualifications, 53B, member plus qualifications of professional bodies. So he is not fitting in any of the link. Plus, he is not a partner, not a member, not a legal representative of the D's partner, neither a retired partner. So fee sharing is not possible with him. Okay. Plus, so if I say fee sharing not possible with him, clause 2 will get attracted because 80,000 has been paid. Plus, Along with this, what will be the scenario here? What will be the scenario here is one more clause will get attracted, which will be clause 5. Why? Because I am securing professional work through the person through which it is not allowed. I am securing professional work through the person through which it is not allowed. Plus, you can say that there is an arrangement going between Mr. Bislink and CA Ambitious. If it was a partnership, it was an agreement, I would have invoked the clause 4 also. But here, it is not there. Like, it's not a partnership basically. It's not a, kind of a scenario where they are entering into a partnership. Hence, I will not, as of now, invoke clause 4. Clear? So, when I will write the answer, what I will do is, I will specify the relevant clauses. That is clause 2 and 5 of the part 1 of first schedule. Okay, I will specify these clauses. I will do the analysis. And then on the basis of that, I will provide the conclusion over here that he is guilty of professional misconduct. Clear with this? Any doubt with respect to this question? Any doubt? No? No doubt? Okay. If no doubt, let's do one thing. Let's take a quick 5 to 10 minutes break. We will be joining back immediately, okay? In 5 to 10 minutes, not more. Okay, and we will continue the session. Ashokji, let's take a quick 5-minute, 10-minute break. Welcome back. Let's continue the session. Okay. So we discussed before closing this particular session, we discussed about clause 5, 6, and 7. A question on the clause 5, 6, and 7 also we saw. Okay. Now what we need to look into is clause 8 and 9. Very important clauses. Okay. So can anyone tell me quickly what is clause 8 about? Quickly. What is clause 8 about? Anyone?
Accepts position as an auditor without first being communicating to the previous auditor.
Yes. So if you accept the position as an auditor previously held by another CA without first communicating to him in writing, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. Now, when I talk about position as an auditor, what it includes? Does it include only statutory auditor? Yes, no. Does it include only statutory auditor? Anyone? Which type of auditor or which type of auditing it includes? Anyone? All. Yes, very good. Very good, Lavanya. Very good, Geeta. It includes all type of audits, not only statutory audit. It includes tax auditor, statutory auditor. Even it is encouraged that you should do for the internal auditor. So it is always advisable, like you follow with respect to all the auditors. GST auditor. So it includes all type of audit, concurrent audit, all type of audits. Okay. So communication is required before accepting the position of an auditor. Now, let's understand this particular scenario. Let's understand this particular clause by way of one very good question. Okay. So I have a question on this particular scenario. Let's understand that. Let me share the question. Okay. Let me read the question. Sorry.
S Pioneer Logistics Limited, a listed company, removed its statutory auditor, MS Old & Co., before the expiry of their term due to a disagreement over an accounting estimate. The company subsequently held an extraordinary general meeting, EGM, and appointed CA Naman, a partner of MS Naman and Associates, as the new statutory auditor. The compliance officer of the company handed over the official appointment letter to CA Naman on 10 August 2024. Eager to secure the prestigious assignment and commence the time-bound audit, CA Naman formally accepted the appointment by signing the engagement letter on 11 August 2024. 2 days later, on 13 August 2024, CA Naman sent a registered letter to the previous auditor, MS Old & Co., inquiring if there were any professional reasons why he should not accept the assignment. He received a "no objection" reply from the previous auditor on 20 August 2024, after which he commenced the actual audit work. Required. Comment on the professional liability of CA Naman with reference to the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949.
Okay. Go through the question. Dates are very important. That's why I already highlighted the dates. I have bold the dates. Dates are very important. Okay. So go through the question, look into the dates, and then tell me Do you think in this particular scenario, is CA Naman guilty of professional misconduct? The work only started after he received the no objection. Okay, so the work only started once he received the no objection letter from the previous auditor. Anyone? What do you think in this scenario? Guilty, guilty, absolutely correct. Straightforward. He will be guilty of professional misconduct in this scenario because he accepted the position even though the works commenced later on. Doesn't make a difference. He should have communicated with the previous auditor before accepting the position. Let me change the dates in this particular example. Let's make it more interesting, okay, and understand this clause in much more detail. He accepted on 11, okay, but let's do one thing. Instead of 2 days later, he communicated same day. On same day. On 11th, he sent a letter to the previous auditor inquiring if there was any professional reason why he should not accept the assignment. Now tell me. Do you think, is he still guilty of professional misconduct? Yes, no? I changed a bit. From 2 days, I did a same day. Anyone? What do you think now? It's the same day. Guilty. Why guilty? Because he sent the communication. Let's say he first sent the communication. Then he accepted the appointment. Is it not appropriate? Let's understand that first he sent the communication and then he accepted the appointment. So first communication, then acceptance the appointment on the same day. Do you still say that he is guilty? Very good, Lavanya. Very good. Now we have to understand this scenario by understanding a term. That is, what is communication with the previous auditor? So the important area here to understand is communication with the previous auditor. What that communication term means. Even though in this particular scenario, the letter is sent on the same day. Do you have a positive evidence of delivery for that communication? First of all, first thing is we need to understand that do we have a positive evidence of the delivery for that communication? What is the positive evidence for the delivery? positive evidence for the delivery is either you send a communication letter to registered acknowledgement due, you send by hand and you have a written acknowledgement, or you send to his email address and you get an acknowledgement of the communication from the retiring auditor of that email address, which is last known email address, or which is there on the basically profile, or you can say database of the institute. Okay, and you have generated UDIN for that. So if these are the scenarios, that means you have a positive evidence of the delivery. You should get the evidence that the letter was delivered, the communication was delivered to the previous auditor. Okay. Number two, when we read the communication, it is not something that you send the letter, it is delivered on the same day and you accept the appointment. I delivered the letter. I delivered the letter by hand, let's say by hand on the same day, and I'm accepting the appointment. Communication is done. I can accept now. The purpose of communication is to wait, is to understand, is there any professional reason for which you should not accept? The purpose of communication is not that you only deliver it. So positive evidence of the delivery is one such requirement of the communication. Second requirement is no objection or reasons to understand why you should not accept the appointment. Most of the students only focus on the positive evidence of the delivery. It's not the alone or not the only thing that you should focus on. Even if, let's say, I make this as a 10th, okay, a day before appointment or acceptance, still not valid. Reason because you communicated, but you did not had the basically in this particular scenario, you did not had the chance of understanding whether you should accept or not. You did not have no objection from him, or you did not give a chance to explain that particular auditor that why you should not accept. Okay, so understanding the reasons or plus positive evidence are the two things that you need to look into when you are communicating. Clear? Any doubt? So based on this discussion, answer is like clause 8 will be there. You need to communicate, okay, prior to the acceptance. Okay, you need to understand, is there any reason why he should not accept the appointment? For communication, you need a positive evidence of delivery. But along with that, you should understand why he should not accept. Is there any reason, non-compliance, anything? And then you should accept the appointment. Here in the sequence, acceptance happened first, then it was a communication original question. Okay, that's why in this particular scenario, guilty of professional misconduct under clause 8. Clear? Any doubt with respect to clause 8? Any doubt? No? Okay, if no doubt, let's move and proceed to the clause 9. Can anyone tell me what is clause 9 about? Quickly. What is clause 9 about?
Accepts position as an auditor without first verifying the compliance of section 139 and 140 of Companies Act.
Okay. So, without verifying whether the provisions of 139 and 140 of the Companies Act have been complied or not. If you accept the position as an auditor, in that case, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. Now, let's understand this particular scenario. Okay. And let's understand basically this particular clause with a good case scenario. Okay. So let me share the case. So this is a case basically that we need to, which will help us to understand clause 9.
MS Green Energy Limited is a listed public company. The company's previous statutory auditor, CA. Old, resigned from his office on 15th May 2024 due to personal health reasons, creating a casual vacancy in the office of the auditor. To fill this vacancy, the Board of Directors of Green Energy Limited held a board meeting on 20th May 2024 and passed a resolution appointing CA. Keshav, a partner of MS Keshav and Associates, as the new statutory auditor to hold office until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. The company secretary issued an appointment letter to CA. Keshav on 21st May 2024, enclosing a certified copy of the board resolution. CA. Keshav accepted the same on same day. Required. Comment on the professional liability of CA. Keshav with reference to the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949 and the Companies Act, 2013.
Now tell me, read the question once again and tell me, what do you think about this particular scenario? Is C. Keshav liable for anything? Take a minute, read the question again and then tell me. Anyone? Very good, Lavanya. Absolutely correct. Anyone with the answer? Okay. Tell me the provisions of the Companies Act with respect to appointment of an auditor in case of the resignation by the previous auditor. Anyone? What is the procedure for appointment of an auditor in case of resignation by previous auditor? Anyone? which section is there which is applicable for the appointment of auditor in case of resignation by previous auditor? Can anyone tell me? Which section will be applicable? No? See, for the purpose of this clause or for the purpose of various things which are there for the discussions, we have to understand the provisions of the Companies Act also. Very good, Lavanya. Yes, absolutely correct. Anyone? Okay. So basically, what is the scenario is with respect to the provisions of the Companies Act. Okay. Now, if you see the provisions of Companies Act in this particular scenario, when there is a resignation by the auditor. So there is a provision, section 139, which deals with the appointment of an auditor. And there is a specific section under 139, subsection under 139, which talks about any casual vacancy in case of an auditor. Okay. So that is section 139, subsection 8, which talks about casual vacancy. If there is a casual vacancy, board of directors can fill that casual vacancy within 30 days. But if that casual vacancy is a result of the resignation of an auditor, such filling of casual vacancy or appointment of a new auditor shall be approved by the company at the general meeting within 3 months. Okay, and then only he can hold office. So here, appointment was required to be approved by the general meeting after the recommendation of the board, which is not there in this particular scenario. So 138, 139.8 was not followed. And CA Keshav accepted the appointment on same day when 21st May 2024, a certified copy of board resolution was provided. So he accepted the appointment without first ascertaining the requirements of 139 and 140. So here 139A was not complied. Still, he accepted the accepted the appointment as an auditor. And hence, CA Keshav in this particular scenario will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Clear? So here the clause will be applicable, clause 9, but you need to specify section 139.8.1 that, however, if there is a vacancy, casual vacancy result of the resignation, in that case, the appointment is also required to be approved at the general meeting. As a result, casual vacancy, not approved, guilty of professional misconduct. Any doubt? Any doubt? No? So when you are looking for clause 9 specifically, you need to understand that it does not only, clause 9 is not only relevant with respect to the clause, but it is also the provisions of the Companies Act, that is section 139, section 140, you should be aware about. Otherwise, you would not be able to answer the questions on the clause 9 specifically. Okay. Okay, so let's see one more question on similar lines. Okay, and let's understand how the scenario is, and we will understand the clause in much more detail. So let me read the question.
MS Novus Tech Private Limited was incorporated on 1st January 2024. The board of directors was occupied with setting up the business operations and failed to appoint the first auditor within the statutory timeline of 30 days. Realizing the delay on 20th February 2024, i.e., after 50 days of incorporation, the board of directors passed a resolution appointing CA Manav, a proprietor of MS Manav & Co., as the first auditor of the company. The managing director informed CA Manav that while there was a delay, the company would file Form ADT-1 with the Registrar of Companies, ROC, by paying the requisite additional fees for the delay, thereby regularizing the appointment. CA Manav accepted the appointment on 22nd February 2024 and commenced the audit. Required. Comment on the professional liability of CA Manav with reference to the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949.
Okay, so this is the entire scenario. Okay, read once again and then tell me what do you think. Is there any professional liability on CA Manav? Not necessary there should be a professional liability. So read the questions in detail and then compare it with the provisions of the Companies Act. Now tell me, what do you think in this scenario? Do you find any issue in this particular scenario? It's a normal case of appointment. ADT-1 was filed. Appointment was delayed, but they said that they will file ADT-1 and it will regularize. Based on that, Mr. Mano accepted the appointment. I'll provide you some more detail. Let's say for clearance of the doubt, okay, generally you have 15 days to file ADT-1. Okay, you have to file ADT-1 within 15 days. Let's assume in this particular scenario, ADT-1 was filed within the prescribed time limit from the date of appointment. Okay, let's assume that ADT-1 was filed within the prescribed time limit within the what you can say from the date of appointment. Okay, so ADT-1 was filed within 15 days from the date of appointment of by auditor. Okay. Now, do you think is there any non-compliance? Not necessary there should be a non-compliance. What do you think? Is there any professional liability in this scenario? Yes, no, can't say. Quickly. Is there any professional liability in this scenario? Very good, Lavanya. But they have regularized the appointment by filing ADT1, by paying the additional fees. So regularization has happened by paying the additional fees for the delay. Do you still think that there should be a non-compliance? Additional fees was paid. Regularization has happened. ADT1 was filed within 15 days. Very good, Geeta. Again, the knowledge of the Companies Act is very relevant to it. The first auditor is required to be appointed within the given time frame. The time frame is given under section 139(6) of the Companies Act. The first auditor of the company, other than a government company, shall be appointed by the board of directors within 30 days of the date of the registration of the company. Okay, within 30 days from the date of registration of the company. If there is a failure, in that case, the appointment of such auditor shall be done within 90 days by the members in an EGM, extraordinary general meeting. So now, if you have passed the 30-day limit, you need to appoint the auditor by convening an extraordinary general meeting of the members. You cannot just have appointment, okay, with respect to directly by board of directors. Appointment basically has happened only by the board of directors. Okay. Appointment is being done only by the board of directors. As a result, that's an issue. That's a non-compliance. And even though you have paid additional fees, still it's a non-compliance to section 139(6). That's why Mr. Manav will be still guilty of professional misconduct. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Yes, no? Okay. So whenever you are looking for the purpose of, section, again, clause 9, make sure that you look into the provisions of the Companies Act appropriately. You understand the Companies Act provision appropriately before, going into the deep for the clause 9. Okay. Now, let's proceed to the next clause. That is clause 10. Can anyone tell me quickly what is clause 10 about? What is clause 10 about? Quickly. What is clause 10 about? No? Okay. So, clause 10. Yes, very good, Lavanya. Clause 10 is on accepting the fees, which is based on, either it is based on the finding of a particular event or it's a contingent. It's not fixed. Okay. It is not fixed. It is contingent upon something, or it is based a percentage on particular, outcome. So if you charge or offer to charge or accept or offer to accept, okay, professional employment fees, which is based on profits or contingent upon finding of any event which can be, result of that particular employment, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, there are few things which are permitted. Okay, there are few things which are permitted under which you can charge percentage based on profits or contingent upon finding of some event. Otherwise, you cannot. Okay, so percentage of profit or contingent upon finding of an event is permissible in few scenarios that are covered by Regulation 192. If the scenario is from Regulation 192, perfectly fine. You can charge, accept fees, not an issue. If it is not from Regulation 192, problem. Now, what are the Regulation 192 areas? We'll quickly see from the study material. Okay, page number 19.76. Over there, you have a Regulation 192. Now, what Regulation 192 covers? In case of a liquidator, the percentage is on realization or disbursement of asset. In case of a cooperative society, paid up capital or working capital or gross or net income or profits of that particular society. In case of a valuer, value of property. In case of certain management consultancy service, okay, based on the resolution of the council from time to time, we will understand that. In case of fundraising, based on the percentage of fund raised. Debt recovery, based on the percentage of debt recovered. In case of service related to cost optimization, based on percentage of benefit derived. Any other audit service as may be decided by the council, and council has decided in any other service as an insolvency professional and non-assurance services to non-audit client. If it is a non-assurance service and you are providing to non-audit client, charge based on percentage is perfectly fine. Okay. Or if it is a liquidator, cooperative society, valuer, management consultancy, if these are the scenarios, then also fine. Otherwise, not appropriate. If you charge, then not appropriate. Clear? Any doubt with this? Okay, so let's understand this with the help of a question, a simple question that will help us understand this particular clause in much more detail. Okay, so the question is, CA Natasha, a practicing chartered accountant, was engaged by Mediterranean Exports for 2 separate professional assignments. Okay. First assignment, it is to structure a project proposal and assist the company in negotiating and securing a term loan of 5 crores from a financial institute for a new project. The fee for this assignment was agreed at 0.75% of the total loan amount that would be sanctioned and disbursed. Second, to represent the company before the tax appellant tribunal, okay, income tax appellant tribunal, against the disputed demands of 80 lakhs, confirmed by the CIT appeal. This fee service agreed at a 50,000 plus 10% of the tax amount that will be deleted in the ITAT in its final order. CA Natasha accepted both assignment with respective structures. Analyze the provision, analyze the particular scenario with respect to the provision of the CA Act. Now go through the question and then tell me, what do you think about it? Go through this particular question and tell me. So, what do you think? Is it appropriate? Yes, no? Is it appropriate? Come on quickly. Okay, Geeta. Very good. Is this appropriate? Yes, no? Okay, so which were the areas where percentage was allowed? Which were the areas where percentage was allowed? Anyone? Liquidator, cooperative society, valuer, management consultancy service as may be decided by the council, fundraising service, debt recovery service, cost optimization, fundraising service, wherein the fees may be based on the percentage of fund raised. Okay. So here the fees, if it is based on the fundraise, if it is the fundraising services, in that case, fine. Otherwise, not appropriate. Second is, like in the second scenario over here, it is the income tax appellant tribunal. Over there is a tax demand. Okay. Over there is a tax demand. Now, the second service is about the tax demand. Do you think it is covered? Yes, no? No? Okay. Now understand one thing in this particular scenario. Okay. What we understood is fundraise services, yes, it was allowed. Okay. That was fine. That is covered. In second scenario, IT80, it is not, it is not covered by any of the particular given scenarios. In that case, you cannot say that, it is covered. However, if I assume two things, first of all, one is an assurance service to non-audit client. Non-assurance service to non-audit client. What is non-assurance service? That is very important to understand. Whether the second scenario will fall under the category of non-assurance service. So here in second scenario, I am representing the company before income tax appellant tribunal against a disputed tax demand of 80 lakhs. Will this be falling under the assurance service? And second, is this a non-audit client? These are the two questions. First of all, is this a non-assurance service? Yes or no? How many of you are saying this is a non-assurance service? How many of you are saying this is a non-assurance service? Yes, okay, this is a non-assurance service. Fine. If you see the term non-assurance services, okay, so basically where you provide a kind of an assurance that is something about the subject matter, that's an assurance service. Assurance service can include audit, certification, attestation work. This does not include any assurance engagement. This is not an assurance engagement. This is not designed to enhance the degree of confidence of the intended users. I would not classify this as an assurance service. Okay. Second is whether this particular client is a non-audit client. Now, if you, in this particular example, it is not given anything. But if you assume it is a non-audit client, non-assurance service allowed. If you assume this is an audit client and non-assurance service, it is not allowed. So based on that, if there is nothing given in the question, you can assume it's a non-audit client. Okay, it's a non-assurance service and allowed. So non-audit client, non-assurance service allowed. And this is fundraising. You can say allowed. So if earlier we were talking about the second is not allowed, you need to understand whether this falls under the category of non-assurance service to non-audit clients. Clear? Now, with respect to this particular part, non-assurance service to non-audit client, basically, there is one thing I would like to discuss. Okay, we will go on a one topic that is, I'll touch in on a very important note. That is basically the fundamental principles. Okay, and with respect to that, there is one area called threat to fundamental principles. Okay, threat to fundamental principles. Now, what we need to understand in this particular scenario is that basically what services are allowed with respect to that fundamental principles. Okay, like is it this kind of service will cause a threat to fundamental principle? That is something we need to understand. So can anyone tell me what are the fundamental principles quickly? What are the fundamental principles which are given in Code of Ethics? What are the fundamental principles in case of Code of Ethics? Quickly. Fundamental principles with respect to Code of Ethics.
Integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, professional behavior.
Very good. Absolutely correct. Yes. Now, there is a thing if with respect to the basically fundamental principles that if you provide the services, like these are the services basically with respect to, you can say like, tax dispute services. Now, if I provide these services to an audit client, would it be a threat to a fundamental principle? Can it constitute a threat to a fundamental principle? So answer is yes. There could be a scenario where this kind of service can cause a threat to fundamental principle. Okay. Why? Because one of the service was integrity, objectivity. Okay. Another scenario is in independence. Now, what if we are defending our own work? Okay, in particular, what you can say for the tax dispute. Now we will be vested, we will be interested in that particular scenario. Okay, so there are chances that we might get interested because we are representing the client before the tax authorities. We are might be also interested in the client because we are being paid for the tax dispute services, and we might not be in that case remain independent. So we need to understand in that particular scenario that is there any threat to fundamental principle by providing this kind of service to an audit client? And there are prohibitions for that. We will quickly go through those prohibitions. Okay. We will quickly understand what is allowed, what is not allowed with respect to the tax services when it comes to the fundamental principles and these kind of clients. Okay. So basically, if there is a tax return preparation service, if you want to provide that, you have to be cautious that is it creating a particular threat to fundamental principle. Tax calculation for accounting entries. Now, when I talk about tax calculation for accounting entries, if you are doing this for an entity with where the public is interested, and if that portion, that accounting entry, you are doing the tax calculation, and it is for the material tax calculation, it is defining a lot of tax treatments. It is giving a lot of what you can say impact on the taxation portion from the accounting side. Then it will be a problem because you are doing an audit. Plus, also at the same time, you are also doing tax calculation for the accounting entries that again becomes part of your financial statement. Means your own entries will be audited by you. It's a problem. So you are not allowed for that. If it's a public interested entity. So you are not allowed to do material tax calculation when it's a public interest entity. Tax planning and advisory. Again, tax planning and advisory, if a major portion is dependent on that, and it's a public interest entity, you should not do. Assistant in tax dispute, again, public interest entity, not allowed. You are not allowed to provide these kind of services for a public interest entity when it is your audit client. So this is along with the audit client. Okay. Tax valuations, if it is forming major part of your financial statement, you should not do because it will create, a kind of a threat that you are reviewing your own work. Self-review threat. Okay. So in this scenario, if you see, okay, for the public interest entities, material tax calculation, advocacy in the tax disputes, advice on the questionable accounting for the tax related matters is not permissible. And if I correlate that over here, this is a limited entity, like limited. Meridian Exports Limited could be listed also, publicly interested also. So if it was an audit client, any which ways it was not allowed to, represent a public interest entity with respect to the tax, tax dispute as per the Code of Ethics. Okay, so we will assume it's a non-audit client for the non-assurance service. Clear? If I change few things in this particular scenario, let's say if I say Meridian Exports Limited, listed audit client. Okay, listed audit client. Not only it will trigger this particular clause, but it will also trigger the Code of Ethics. Because as per the Code of Ethics, if it is a public interest entity, you should not provide advocacy for tax dispute. It can cause self-interest threat or familiarity threat. There are, threat to the fundamental principles, and that can be triggered in this scenario. That's why it is prohibited. Clear with this? Yes, no? So in that particular scenario, I would have written also subsection 604 of Code of Ethics. Okay. So that was your clause 10 that we discussed in detail. Now I would like to understand what is clause 11 about. Anyone, what is clause 11 about? Clause 11. Anyone? Clause 11. Unless permitted by council, if I engage in any other profession, occupation, or business. Very good, Geeta. Very good, Lavanya. Other than the CA. Yes, absolutely correct. So, clause 11 basically talks about that if I engage in any other profession, okay, if I engage in any other business, unless it is permitted by council, I will be held deemed guilty of professional misconduct. And what is allowed? So there is a list which is allowed by the council. There are two type of lists in that, where the permission is generally granted. Second, where the permission you need to obtain, specific permission is required. So what is the scenario, or what are the scenarios where permission is generally granted? Either you are employed in the chartered accountant in practice, if you are doing private tutorship, if you are doing authorship of books or articles, holding life insurance agency, but only for the purpose of renewal commission, not granting of, or not doing a business of getting life insurance policies to new people. No, limited purpose, renewal commission, not further. Attending classes and appearing for any examination, holding public elective office like MP, MLA, MLC, honorary office of leadership of charitable or educational or other non-commercial organizations, acting as a notary public, justice of peace, special executive magistrate, part-time tutorship under coaching organization of institute, valuation of papers, paper setter, head examiner, moderator for examination, editorship of professional journal, acting as a surveyor, loss assessor, acting as a recovery consultant, owning agricultural land. Okay, fine. All these things are fine. Special resolution, special permission, full-time, part-time employment in business concern. Okay, provided that member or his relative do not hold substantial interest in such concern. If you are in employment in a business concern, provided you should not hold a substantial interest. Part-time, full-time employment in non-business concern. Office of managing director, whole-time director. Okay. Interest in family business concern. But that interest, okay, must have been acquired as a result of relationship, okay, or in the management of the company where no active part is taken. You can take the special approval, and you can, once you get the special approval, then it is fine. Interest in educational institute. Part-time, full-time lectureship for courses other than relating to institute's examination or conducted other than the institute or regional councils. Part-time, full-time tutorship, editorship of journal and other professional journals. Any other business of occupation for which executive committee considers that the permission may be granted. So in these scenarios, you can take permission. Otherwise, specific resolution can be taken. Otherwise, there is a general list where you are allowed to do that without any specific permission. Apart from that, if you do anything, it is kind of engaging any other business or occupation other than the profession of chartered accountant. So if that item is not covered by the general list, specific list, you cannot engage in that. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, let's take a particular question on this particular topic and we will understand by that. Let me read the question.
CA. Sameer, a chartered accountant in practice, is the Karta of a Hindu undivided family, HUF, which is engaged in the business of trading electronic goods. The business is managed by his elder son. CA. Sameer's capital in the HUF is 15 lakhs rupees and he receives a share of profit from the HUF. He is not involved in the day-to-day operations of the business but occasionally provides business advice during family discussions. He has already sought specific permission from the Council of the ICAI.
Okay, now this is a particular scenario where he has already obtained a specific permission from the council. Now these are the given options. You need to select one of the options from this one. Read the options and tell me which is the correct option based on the given scenario. Okay, tell me which is the correct option. Quickly, which is the correct option? Anyone? Okay. Now let me discuss this particular scenario with some more detail. Okay. So let's go to the study material on page 19.82, where there is a particular specific area, there is a specific point with respect to member in practice of HUF doing business. A member of institute can acquire family interest, acquire an interest in a family business, okay, in a following manner, like as a proprietary firm, partnership firm, or in the name of HUF, as a karta or a member. So in this scenario, it's a karta. And now, what is the scenario here is that this particular member has to make sure that he's not actively engaged in carrying the business. Okay. It would be necessary for the member to provide the evidence that the interest in the family business is devolved on him as a result of inheritance, succession, or partition of the family business, or being a karta. Okay, a member in practice engaged as a karta of HUF doing family business will be within the limits of prescribed by the council if he makes investment from the funds pertaining to HUF only, provided he is not actively engaged in the said business. Okay, so in the given scenario, that the scenario that we discussed, if the member is not actively engaged, okay, if the member is not actively engaged, in that particular case, being a karta of HUF, having a family business interest is permitted. Why not B? Like there is a B also, that C.S. Sameer is not guilty of any professional misconduct as business is managed by his son. He is not actively engaged in this point. His role as a karta does not automatically constitute engaging business. No, it is not like that. If he's a karta, it can be assumed. It has to be specific that he is not actively engaged. So his role as a karta does not automatically constitute, it's a wrong. That's why the D will come. He's not guilty of professional misconduct because being a karta of HUF and having an active interest in the family business is permitted, provided he is not actively engaged in the management. It's well within the limits. Okay, so D is a right. C and A, guilty of professional misconduct, is incorrect. Clear? Any doubt with respect to this one? Any doubt? So remember here that evidence is required to be provided. Okay, you cannot directly assume that it is not actively participating. He has to make sure that the details have to be provided, that the person is not actively engaged in the management of the same business. That was your clause number 11 with respect to being engaged in any other business or occupation of other than the charter accountant, unless permitted by the council. Now, one last clause, that is clause 12 of part 1. What is that clause? Quickly. Clause 12 of part 1. Clause 12 of part 1. Quickly, what is that? Clause 12 basically talks about if you allow anyone to sign the financial statements or the any certificates on the firm's behalf, unless that person is a CA in practice, partner. Okay. Unless that person is a CA in practice and partner. Remember that. You cannot allow anyone to sign on your behalf unless that person is a CA in practice, okay, and a partner. Now tell me one thing. If he is a member but not a partner, can he sign? Can he sign? Okay, let's assume one more scenario. Let's say he is a member, he is a partner. Can he sign? But not in CA in practice. Not CA in practice, member, partner. Can he sign? Not CA in practice, but a member and a partner of institute, member of institute, partner of a firm. Can he sign?
Sir, if he is not CA in practice, first of all, he cannot be a partner.
Absolutely correct. Very good. We have already seen that in order to be a partner, he has to be CA in practice. A member cannot be a partner. That's why when I say partner, it is by default member in practice. When I say a partner, it is by default a member in practice, because if he is not a member in practice, how can you enter into a partnership? Clause 4 will get attracted. He has to be a CA in practice. Over there, we have discussed that members who are not in practice cannot be a partner. And partner can sign. That means CA in practice and partner can sign. When I say partner, by default, he is a CA in practice. Remember that. That is your clause 12. Yeah. Now there is an exception to this. When I talk about financial statements or any balance sheet, profit and loss certificate, it does not include small things with respect to where they are admin tasks. Issue of query list, asking information questionnaire, forwarding letters, stepping of vouchers, okay, routine correspondence. So these are the admin tasks where employees can sign, acknowledging routine correspondence, issuance of cash memorandum, issuance of acknowledgement of records, raising bills. Over there, it is fine. Issuance of audit queries. Over there, it is fine. What we are talking about is signing on behalf of a firm any balance sheet, profit and loss, or report on financial statement, basically, where you are giving the assurance. Okay. Admin matter, routine matters, fine. Not an issue. Routine documents, fine. Over there, you can delegate the powers to sign the routine documents. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, we'll quickly cover clause 1 and clause 2 of part 2. It's same. So the way we have seen in clause 2 and 3 of part 1, okay, paying the commission, accepting the commission. Part 2 is basically to the member in service. And similarly, it is if you pay any part of your employment that you earn, okay, to any person, or if you accept any fees from any person, like which is engaged by the company, like a lawyer, like a broker, like a chartered accountant, or an agent, or a customer of a company, where you are working as a commission or gratification, then you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. The purpose is that you should not, lose your independence. You should not accept any fees or any amount from any person which is employed by the company, hired by the company, or engaged by the company. It may appear that it is impacted your independence. So similar on the line of clause 2 and 3, it is clause 1 and clause 2 of part 2, which is applicable to member in service. So with this, we have concluded till our part 2 of first schedule. Okay, any doubt till now? Any doubt? No? Okay. If no doubts, what you are required to do? Go through all these clauses, go through the rest of the clauses. I want that you guys should be practicing. And when I say practice, that means you have to write the questions, write the answers of the questions. Don't just read. If you want to prepare for the exam appropriately, have the writing practice. Attend the MTP, mock test papers, which are there. So a lot of facilities are provided by the institute to you guys with respect to the mock test papers, with respect to the practice questions. Utilize those avenues, utilize those options which are available to you. Have a practice of writing the exam within 3 hours, writing the entire paper within 3 hours. These things will really help you on the day of exam when you will actually write the paper. Keep writing practice. I'll say again and again, keep writing practice. Because at times what will happen is you will think that, okay, I know the answer. But when you start writing the answer, you will not get the words to write the answer. For example, by reading the question, you will see, okay, guilty, not guilty. Immediately you can get the answer. But in exam, I don't have to just write one word, guilty, not guilty. I have to write the entire answer of 4 to 5 points. And for that, you need practice. Wordings, the language, the structure, you need practice for that. Please practice for that. And in the next section also, please bring up of your doubts. Whatever doubts you have, please bring it up. Okay? If no further doubts or questions, I prefer to keep the section till here. In the next session, we will continue further and we'll cover all the rest of the topic of professional ethics. Okay then. Thank you. Thank you for attending the session. I'll see you in the next session. Ashok ji. Yes. Thank you.